What's crazier in this dream? Gliding and therefore maybe airbending Sokka, or Momo that's bigger than Appa? Momo that's bigger than Appa would be a menace. Like, maybe a bigger threat than the Fire Nation.
Why did you disappear?
It's pretty messed up that in Aang's dream he imagines Gyatso literally turning into ash. Jesus Christ. Ever notice how here it shows Aang's glider is actually caught up in Appa's reins? I guess it might have had a chance to go flying off him in the crash, but they probably could have got away without including that detail. Cool that they did though. Here we get a split-second shot of the Fire Lord, and kind of a double meaning with the lightning imagery. Of course it's connected to Aang's storm dream, but it's also the first connection we get with firebenders and lightning. Sokka's seen holding the same knife he used in the episode Jet for a second there. I'm not sure if we ever see it again, maybe once or twice. In this shot we can see Appa's reins aren't attached to one of his horns. Then, a couple of shots later, Aang is doing them up.
What happened in your dream?
Food eats people.
I'm with Sokka on this one. Food's been at the bottom of the food chain for too long. They gotta be planning something.
Also, Momo could talk. You said some very unkind things.
Oh, you don't like it? Well, let's go right now.
Here it shows Aang looking at these flock of birds, and then in the transition shot, it shows that they're near Zuko as well. That's a pretty clever way of showing that they're near each other.
There is a storm coming. A big one.
You guys have heard of this, right? The old, like, I can feel it in me bones thing that old people get about a storm? Is that real? Is it possible to learn this power?
Not from a Jedi.
The safety of the crew doesn't matter.
This isn't the first time we see this guy, actually. If you were paying attention, you could see him and Zuko sparring at the start of the waterbending scroll.
I just realized we're out of money anyway.
Hey, what the hell, man? Relax.
What do you know about respect?
Iroh's in the background like, whoa, pump the brakes! This is a cool concept and how it starts smoking and all. But all I ever think about when I see this shot is, man, they made Zuko pale in this episode.
My joints say there's going to be a storm. A bad one.
Huh, they're pretty smart. Hold on one sec.
You're the Avatar, ain't you?
That's right.
Alright, I'm gonna do it to you again, Katara. Stop being so proud to tell people Aang is the Avatar. Your home almost got burned down. Suki's home did get burned down. You almost got crystallized and died. Your brother got kidnapped by a Cloverfield panda. You started a gang war between firebenders and pirates. You got indoctrinated into a cult. And then you almost got indoctrinated into another cult. Stop telling people Aang is the Avatar.
The Avatar disappeared for 100 years. You turned your back on the world.
This is something I'm really glad they touch on. The older generation would absolutely be jaded towards Aang. They would have heard stories their whole lives about how the Avatar was supposed to return and save the world. But he didn't. And they had to spend their entire lives surrounded by war, losing loved ones and friends to it, or just straight up being subjugated by the Fire Nation. I'm surprised we don't see more of it as the show goes on, but I'm really glad they hit that note here. Man, this takeoff looks really weird, right? Like, no run-up or anything, no big jump, just start zooming.
Looks like your uncle was right about the storm after all.
Lucky guess.
A guess? Alright, just gonna do one of these real quick.
That fisherman was way out of line.
It's a really nice touch that they included these raindrop shadows falling. Looks cool. What isn't a nice touch is that Katara walks up and casts her shadow on Aang, which should prevent the raindrop shadows from being seen, but they're still there. It's cool that in this scene we can see Aang has his tattoos and the others don't. It puts the question of why that's the case in the viewer's head. I honestly think that there's this throwaway line earlier to remind the audience that they are actually tattoos and not just some Avatar thing.
Boy with tattoos. Airbender tattoos.
And then the masters show up with their tattoos and you're like, oh, it's because Aang is fucking nuts at airbending.
Do you remember these?
Those were some of my favorite toys when I was little.
You chose them from among thousands of toys, Aang. The toys you picked were the 4 Avatar relics. You chose them because they were familiar.
So I've been told that this is the actual method for finding a new Dalai Lama in real life. That's a really cool way to do it. They keep the spirit world and Aang's connection to the past weird and vague and interesting.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
We need you, Aang.
This line is probably the genesis of Aang's dream from the start of the episode. If you were paying attention, it's repeated over and over.
We need you, Aang.
We need you, Aang.
We need you, Aang. We need you. We need you, Aang. We need you.
I'm sick of taking his orders, and I'm tired of chasing his avatar. I mean, who does Zuko think he is?
Do you really want to know?
General Iroh.
Why is this so believable? You ever get caught doing something you're not supposed to do and then just suddenly you're like, oh, I'm standing up now. How is this one little detail so accurate? If you look super closely here, you can actually see the younger Zuko from the flashback walking up into the fire before the flashback even starts, by like a pretty significant amount of time. When we see a young, unscarred Zuko here, we hear this kind of upbeat, triumphant version of the Fire Nation motif. Keep that in mind for later.
They'll be used as a distraction while we mount an attack from the rear.
What better to use as bait than fresh meat?
You can't sacrifice an entire division like that. Those soldiers love and defend our nation. How can you betray them?
Zuko speaking up here has got to hit hard for the crew this story's being told to, right? That spoiled prince they think he is just spoke up for the everyman, the common soldier. That's a strong character beat, man. Alright, damn it, I was gonna save this one, but I really want to say it now. Fast forward to the flashbacks in Appa's Lost Days. This kid? That's him! It's gotta be, right? That's crazy continuity. Who on the animation team thought of that?
Okay, now who wants to have Jinju on their team?
All of these kids were burned to death horribly months later. Also, oh my god, you could not get away with this joke nowadays. Holy moly. Okay, we got Sideways Monkey Face, we got Hey Bye, we got Pirate Ship Wheel, and we got the White Lotus. The same 4 as we saw in the other episode. Are there only 4 tile types in this game? Gyatso moves the White Lotus tile as well. Was he part of the White Lotus? I mean, it's pretty easy headcanon to accept, but I won't say yay or nay.
Aang has already trained enough for today.
Time is short. Come with me.
This is the second time they reference time being an issue.
But there are troubling signs. Storm clouds are gathering.
I fear that war may be upon us, young Avatar.
Sozin's comment wouldn't be totally out of the realm of possibility for them to know about, right? Do you think they knew Sozin was going to pull some shit on the air temples?
When he turned to face his opponent, he was surprised to see it was not the general. Zuko had spoken out against the general's plan, but by doing so in the Fire Lord's war room, it was the Fire Lord whom he had disrespected.
This is some serious mental gymnastics, right? It's obvious that Ozai just wanted to nuke his own kid's face off his head.
Aang needs to have freedom and fun. He needs to grow up as a normal boy.
You cannot keep protecting him from his destiny.
Gyatso, I know you mean well, but you are letting your affection for the boy cloud your judgment.
All I want is what is best for him.
But what we need is what's best for the world.
I feel like this works so well, dude. It's almost like a commentary on the chosen one child archetype, right? No kid would be able to handle that pressure. And even if they could, they're not going to grow up to be a good person. Being told that they're the chosen one, being put on a pedestal. Gyatso seems to get that. And I don't really feel like the other monks don't get it. They're just in a bad situation, and they're willing to sacrifice Aang's childhood.
How could they do that to me? They wanted to take away everything I knew and everyone I loved.
This is pretty crazy, right? This is the only time we ever see Aang go, like, borderline Avatar state. And it's not even out of, like, in-the-moment anger. This is some deep-seated stuff in his head, clearly. This is some shit you should yell about. Fucking Great Divide ass.
Aang?
You can see some of Aang's favorite toys on his bed frame here. I actually never noticed that one. So this episode is obviously dripping with parallels between Aang and Zuko. Both of their stories being told quietly around a fire. Both of them blame themselves for what happened and are controlled by it to this day to some extent. With that being the case, I'm going to point out 2 really dumb contrasts that I never told anyone because they're that dumb. But I have a small platform now, so I'm doing it and no one can stop me. Aang, Zuko, opposite ends of the alphabet. Probably not an accident. Zuko, red marking on his face. Aang, blue marking on his face. Opposites. Also probably not an accident. I think about this show a lot, okay? Okay, I know it shows that Ozai's backlit here, but the rest of the room seems to be pretty well lit too. So if we're being entirely fair, Ozai probably shouldn't be shadowed like this. I'm not saying anything negative though. The Ozai reveal in Season 3 is great, so if they want to keep him in shadows, by all means. Oh, we got Bozo here, and oh hey look, it's Azula. About half a season before she's properly introduced. That's cool.
After the duel, the Fire Lord said that by refusing to fight, Zuko had shown shameful weakness. As punishment, he was banished and sent to capture the Avatar.
That's the thing. Zuko wasn't burned and exiled for speaking out against war plans. That's the reason he fought the Agni Kai. Zuko was burned and exiled for not wanting to fight his own father. This is where the viewer can really start to see that Zuko's not a villain. He's kind of like Jet in a way. He's not evil, he's just driven in the wrong direction.
So that's why he's so obsessed. Capturing the Avatar is the only chance he has of things returning to normal.
I mean, if that's not a well-written, understandable reason, I don't know what is, man.
The world needs you now. You give people hope.
But the important thing is, the Avatar gives Zuko hope.
In back-to-back scenes, it said that Aang gives people hope, but it takes on a very different meaning when Aro says it. Really cool writing. Awesome shot, man. I love that shot.
They haven't returned. They should have been back by now. And this storm is becoming a typhoon. They're caught out at sea.
I'm going to find them. I'm going with you.
I'm staying here. Where were
looks like the same guy. Man, there's something so cool about Aro just noticing or feeling something here. He explains later that lightning occurs when you separate the energies of yin and yang and then bring them back together. It could be that he's so good at it that he can recognize and feel when that happens in nature. That's so cool. If you look closely here, Aro doesn't use the usual two-finger movement we see with lightning generation and redirection. Could be that natural lightning is more powerful, or maybe they just hadn't thought of that yet. When Zuko catches the helmsman here, you can hear a similar musical cue from when we first saw him as a bright-eyed kid. This, along with him going back on his
"The safety of the crew doesn't matter"
line, we know that somewhere deep down, that good kid is still in Zuko. Aang do be twirling his stick, though. Good to remind the audience that Aang can waterbend a little now, too. He learned some, but then he didn't do any in the last 2 episodes, so good to remind people. This is a good redemption moment. I'll be honest, no one really remembers this episode for its end action scene, but for what it's worth, it's still pretty good.
Uncle, I'm sorry.
Your apology is accepted.
God, Aro is such an awesome character. Quick to help, quick to forgive. I love this man. What an interesting shot, right? We just learned both of these characters' backstories, and they're different in a lot of ways, but they're the same in a lot of ways too. I like that they just get a moment to see each other before the episode ends.
I can't make guesses about how things would have turned out if I hadn't run away. I'm here now and I'm going to make the most of it.
I don't think you're gonna have those nightmares anymore.
Do you hear that? It stopped raining.
Aang's emotional turmoil was represented by the storm, and with the storm ending, the audience gets a feeling that Aang is truly ready to move on. That's some good symbolism and subtle writing. Unlike some episodes. Remember back on episode 8 where I mentioned this show has jumps in quality? Or at least I believe it does. I think this is one of them. I think just about anyone who gets up to this point will realize that this show really has something to say, and can take itself seriously. This is absolutely one of the standout episodes in Book 1, and a lot of people's favorite. It's hard to ignore why. Both of the backstories are interesting, and they give new context to our characters' actions and emotions. It's not my personal favorite out of Book 1 though. It's close, but not quite. My favorite is up next, actually. So if you like the video, give it a like, and if you really like it, subscribe. I'm gonna do every episode, so hopefully I see it for my favorite out of Book 1 next time.